Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first live stream. Second, really. We had one a year ago for the Tesla supercharging version 3 unveiling, and we were like the only ones there, and it was impressive. You can supercharge your Model 3 at 1,000 miles an hour. That's just unfathomable. Alright, so today we've got ourselves, myself, I'm Kacey Green, and then we've got Mark Coughlan in the other corner. Let's make his screen a little bigger.
Hello, everyone. How are you today? Kacey, quite a momentous occasion today. 1 year
Absolutely.
of the video channel being live. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was it was quite an adventure. I didn't see it blowing up the way it did in this first year. It was incredible. I mean, we put a lot of hours into recording and editing, and it was quite fun.
It is quite a bit of work, isn't it?
To say the least.
Well, that's great. So maybe we could get some stats going out a little bit. How many videos have you produced over the past 1 year?
122 or so. So right now we're sitting at 402 subscribers. I want to thank everybody who's watching both now and in the replay. Feel free to chat because we're going to interact with you guys if you interact with us.
Exactly. So I'll try to monitor the chat on YouTube, and if we have any questions, certainly we can talk about that or subject matters on Tesla or the cars themselves or whatever you'd like.
Absolutely. So first up, let's take a look at our timeline. Some folks might have noticed that I kept calling out that this is our first year with the channel as it is. And the reason I kept calling it that way is because the channel's actually 10 years old. On April 7th, 2009, I uploaded the test drive of the Honda FCX Clarity hydrogen fuel cell car. And took it on a little trip around Columbia, South Carolina, while I was a Honda sales rep at the time. And that was a fun little video to make. It was when I first felt an EV that wasn't slow. It was quite phenomenal. It had the same power output as their V6 Accord at the time. And then on January 2nd is when we uploaded our first video with this channel trying to be a channel. And it was an experience because prior to that, right around Christmas time, we'd got an update that made it so that people couldn't turn off your remote access feature if they stole your car, or if you'd loaned them the car and didn't give them permission to own the car, because there were a couple thieves that were going in, and as they were stealing the car, they were turning off the remote telemetry, so it made it a lot harder to find your car and recover it with the aid of the police or other agencies. Do not chase the people down if you have your live location. You don't know what the situation is. It's not worth it. You've got insurance on your car, but do keep track of it and give that information to the police. Give them the live feed. And then that leads us back to today, where it is January 3rd, 2020. We've got 402 active subscriptions, 122 videos published, and 3,700 hours watched. That is incredible. And we had 91,400 views, and we made a whopping 40% of a penny. We didn't get into it for the money, but
obviously
we
not.
It. Let's do some math now. So let's see, 365 days. Let's do it another way. Let's do 0.004 divided by 52. Or times 52. Yeah, it'd be divided by 52. It's a small number. it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Let's see. Who else have we got in here? I'm gonna go on to the next track. Our top 5 videos happen to be one of our most popular videos was when we took the Model X to the drag strip. So we're members of the Charleston Tesla Club, which is an official manufacturers club, and we had an event at the Dorchester Dragway, and several of us showed up. Only I raced. My wife Luna took the video, and a couple of our friends were there in the stands, and it was a blast. So we took the Model X P100D, and we just lined it up on the track, and we did, I think, like 32, 33 heats, and it was quite fun. The first like 4 or 5 runs I did, like you'll see the brake lights come on, as if I was letting the guy catch up so I could just blast him again. No, this car in ludicrous mode, it made my brain move back in my head, and so what you actually see when the car is letting up is me lifting off the throttle, so I can get my orientation
you can breathe
back.
Again.
Exactly. So what I learned with that is you kind of got to do like the fighter pilot suggests, where you kind of like clench up all your muscles, especially your legs, and then you just boom, lay down the hammer, and the car takes off. It is it is incredible.
Yeah, for those of you who have never experienced an insane or a ludicrous launch, it is a unique feeling. I remember I had my first experience about 2 years ago. Someone with an S took me for a ride. And I never, ever had the sensation previously of my eyeballs being pushed back into my socket harder as the car took off. It was quite a unique sensation. And this was an older Model S, but yet it was before. He didn't have ludicrous. He just had insane mode. But it was plenty fast. So I can just imagine what ludicrous does.
Absolutely. My very first experience with the Tesla acceleration, my wife and I, we went down to, I want to say it was Myrtle Beach, and we were living in Sumter, South Carolina at the time, and the sales reps, they drove down a Model S 85 and a P85 Plus, and we got to drive the P85 Plus, and it was a similar experience. It was fast, it made me dizzy, but it wasn't to the point where, like the ludicrous mode, where I had to release the pedal to get my wits about me. And so in that night, what we ended up doing with the Model X is we didn't lose a single heat. We got really close, and the one that gave us trouble was the custom Thunderbird. He had like big drag radials in the back, because the only requirement for that night was you had to have street tires, and they had a tread, so they counted. He came up to us after the race. He's like, "I got beat by a flipping minivan."
Yes, you did.
You did. But this minivan will do 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds. It's no ordinary minivan.
That just reminds me of that race video on the drag strip where the Model X towed well, I think was it a Porsche, and they raced the same
Romeo 4C.
Okay, that's what it was, and they raced the exact same car, and they beat it with a trailer calling that car. That just blew me away that that kind of thing could happen.
Yeah, the 4C on the trailer, won by like well beyond a nose, like the whole trailer beat the other Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, nothing like pulling up to a racetrack with a trailer and a load ready to go. Like, really.
Well, they must have had that very secure, because we did some towing with the Model X this summer while we moved up to Virginia, and my wife Luna has joined us on the chat. I did some towing, and it will move, but you kind of get a little worried about ripping the tongue off of the trailer.
I don't think it's made for that, is it?
It's not.
That kind of acceleration.
Yeah. And so we did, I want to say about 3 or 4 trips between South Carolina and Northern Virginia here, and normally when we're just driving the Model X by itself, we can go probably skip every 3 or 4 superchargers on the way, and when you're towing, you cannot skip maybe but one at the very beginning of your trip when you're completely full. Other than
It
that,
uses a lot of energy
it
towing,
uses
doesn't
a
it?
ton of energy to tow.
Yeah.
We started out with the 12-foot, was it the 8x12s, the vans, the square ones, and so they're not very aerodynamic. They've got 4 wheels added to the car's 4 wheels, and you're pushing almost a kilowatt hour, or almost a kilowatt hour per mile, and it is insane. Versus when we normally go by ourselves, we push about, depending on climate control, if we have the heat on, it's not as strong, but when we have the air conditioner on, the air conditioner doesn't drain as much from the system, and so we pull usually around the high 200s, low 300s watt hours per mile, and that's how you're able to skip. Even when we went to the not the drag strip, but when we went to the NC car with out-of-spec motoring, the circuit track, we actually weren't the highest fuel consumption on the track. There was another Model X and a bunch of Model 3s, performance and regulars, and I want to say we were like in third place for consumption. We were under a kilowatt hour per mile, and some of the Model 3s were pushing like 900 watt hours per mile. It was insane.
So going back to that track day, and the number of heats that you ran, when you arrived at the track, how full battery-wise were you?
So we charged it up to, I want to say 95 or 97%, just because I wasn't sure what it would do in that situation, and I didn't know if they had service available for us to plug in where the RVs go. NC Car does, which is really awesome. And we ended up arriving back home with something like in the low 40s or 50s of state of charge.
And when you said you had about 30 some heats, is it like, are we talking a track run, or are we talking a partial oval, or is it a straight run?
It's a straight eighth mile drag strip.
Okay.
And so I pull it up. On the way there, we put it in, what do they call it? They call it Ludicrous Plus now. But what that does is it heats up the battery, gets it ready to put the most power to the ground possible. And then once it gets all the way heated up, you actually get a new visualization on your screen. It looks like the old Prius view, where it's like an invisible car with, you see the motors and the battery, and it's really cool looking. But in addition to that, you get a display that shows you what the car is laying it down to the ground. And ours was doing 750 kilowatts. It's insane. It's ludicrous, actually. So
of course it is.
Let's do a calculation here of power. And we'll do 750 kilowatts. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. That is 1,005.767 horsepower instantaneously. Obviously, it doesn't keep that up the whole time, but
no, it couldn't. But off the launch, that's still darn impressive.
Yes. Oh man.
So you did that many runs over the course of, I assume, a number of hours?
Yeah, a number of hours. We started.
You were there for like 4 hours or so?
Just about. We got there at 8, and it took us a minute to run through, check in, and then we did the practice runs. And then at the end, we came up against the natural nemesis of the Model S. I'm not sure if it was insane mode or ludicrous mode, but the Dodge Challenger Hellcat.
Mm.
He lined up, he had his red key ready to go, and we dusted him. And at the end of the night, we won, I want to say it was like $200. It was supposed to be just one big heap, but the guys with the import cars broke us off. They said, all right, those cars are domestic, because all of a sudden now they go from not knowing what a Tesla is to knowing it's domestic. It's not an import. That's an American car right there, baby. So we would have won the whole night, but instead of winning the whole night, we just won the domestic category, and it was still good. We won our first night out, and nobody had ever seen anything like it before. They did want us to race up against the motorcycles too, but the motorcycles didn't want to mess with us, and I didn't want, should there be some reason for the motorcycle to fall, I didn't know that I had the reaction time to slam the brakes, because we were new to the car.
Yeah.
If it was another car, it would really stink, but at least it's got a crash cage and everything around it. And we did sign up for race insurance and everything. In fact, 2 months ago, Lloyd's of London dropped us. They didn't give any reason, and I asked the agent, I said, hey, why did they drop us for race insurance? Probably because we only used it one time, because you're supposed to submit what you do, and we never went again.
Right. So you have to submit that before you go, yes. I would assume.
Yes.
And they have to register that you're going for that particular day.
Yes.
Okay.
I can imagine the insurance fraud that could go off of that. And that was a fun night. And at the end of it, they're taking our picture, and the car is doing the Christmas dance, and everybody got a kick out of that. Yeah. And then our second most popular video for the year was, incredibly, it's actually one that we just did a couple days ago. It was the Tesla software update 2019.40.5. It was our first bug fix to the Tesla holiday update, which gave us the full self-driving previews. It gave us voice commands, new games, and DAW. It's a digital audio workstation, which is a way to compose music in the car. And, of course, more video games and all the Tesla goodness, which is incredible. So when we got our upgrade to the full self-driving computer, the car became a cone detector. Anytime you see anything that even looks like a cone, fire hydrants, bases of signs, cones, other types of cones, it would show you cones. And with this, it added trash cans to its list of talents. So on any garbage day, you just hit trash cans along with the cones.
We all know that Tesla, the Boring Company, they all love trash cans.
So they do.
I'm not surprised that they've added it to the mix.
Yes. But more importantly than the trash cans and the cones is it would show you what it thinks it sees. So you can see traffic lights. You can see if the light's green, yellow, or red, if it's got an arrow to it, or if it can't register it, but it knows there's a traffic light there, either because it's off or because it can't see the faces. It'll just say traffic light. And one of my favorites was a lot of people kept saying that the car isn't showing them yellow lights. I went past a fire station a couple times, and they had the always flashing yellow that turns red as the fire truck is coming out. And it showed very plain as day. It's a yellow light, flash, flash, flash. And since then, I've been able to kind of see them all. On the Model S and Model X, we've got that screen in front of us, and so the arrows for the green, red, and yellow, if it's an arrow, it's really dim, but you can tell there's color in it, but it's not the same as the full circle. I imagine when they do your upgrade for the Model 3, you'll be able to kind of zoom in on it and see, oh yeah, that's an arrow, it is green. I should go. But right before we went on live, I saw a stealth photograph of a pallet of Model 3 full self-driving retrofit computers. This was at a service center in LA, so it's happening.
Yeah, and there has been some reports about, I guess, Tesla being over-asked about, is the computer available for me to upgrade? Yes. And they've actually turned away some service calls based on people asking for it. So be careful about bothering them about it. They say that they're going to get to you. It's just based on some sort of algorithm they have about serial numbers. But I guess we will find out as time goes along.
That we will. And you don't want to end up in the back of the line, so don't bug them. I asked once, and then I was told about the line, and then I stopped asking directly. But as some of my close friends will know, Mark knows, I brought in my Tesla Model S for a lot of warranty services to make sure that it was the car that we were sold. It was what was expected. And then we had some outstanding items when we bought the Model X. Uh, One of the items they had finally approved us for a new headliner. I think ours was built the day that Marquez Brownlee was in the factory. And you see this black Model X go by, and then you see uh, the worker stop and turn around and look at Elon. And I'm like, get back to work. Don't look at your boss. And
Elon did that on purpose, too.
He did. He did.
Just screw up your car.
You know it. And that is the voice of Russell Frost. Let me get him on the screen here. Let's see here. 4 is...
Really, you don't have to show me. I don't think it's going to add a lot to the show. But I appreciate it. My apologies for being late.
Oh, this happens.
I got wrapped up, and I'm going to make an excuse, but nonetheless, my apologies.
I accept your apologies. Thank you for coming.
Of course. Wouldn't miss it for the world. What was I? Did I just miss out on like the travails and tribulations of your?
We've been just talking about the channel's top 5 videos that they've had over the past year.
Oh.
And Kacey was just we finished discussing his track day, which was the #1 video view wise. And then
because he's flashing that cash around.
That's right, exactly. I'm sure
exactly
he was after that big win. I'm sure he was just waving that wad of cash in front of those guys, letting them know that they just got schooled by a minivan. That does 2.3 seconds, and then the second video we just were discussing was about the update to the software, the most recent one that gave us some new visualizations.
Yeah. And that one was really fun. And then the next up was our Tesla CHAdeMO adapter tutorial. So I took is that the Model X? Yes, that's the Model X. So we took the Model X down to the local CHAdeMO station, and we showed you how to use the adapter. And just yesterday, we got together with Tesla Family Channel. Let's see if I've got a anonymized card I can show you. I don't. But a video will be coming out probably this weekend where we showed you how to do the CHAdeMO adapter to your Model 3. Because when we did the first video, the Model 3 was incompatible because the software wasn't ready yet. Yeah. But, when you find a gap in the supercharger network in the US, that CHAdeMO adapter can be a lifesaver. What we're still waiting on is the CCS adapter for the... they've got it in Europe for the Model S and the Model X, and the Model 3 is natively CCS over there. So we're just waiting now on that to come to the US.
And that's interesting. I'm not sure if that will come to the U.S. or not.
It doesn't look like they're making any progress.
They're certainly not talking about it. If there's any thought to it, but the other strange thing we covered on my show, The Tesla Life, last week was how EVgo in California has added a few Tesla cables to their existing DC fast chargers in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I guess obviously that is an option to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe that will catch on with other DC fast operators like Charge America or ChargePoint or others as well, because that would be a nice option that the Tesla owner would not require to have an adapter whatsoever. They would just choose the Tesla plug at the source.
That would be great. And even better than that would be if ChargePoint doesn't feel any bad feelings about when they got their hand slapped for putting the adapter on the charger. What they did was they took the CHAdeMO adapters and ripped them apart and stuck them in their machine as a third cable. And Tesla said, "Stop that."
Yeah, so they'll probably not be the next one to get on board with this after getting their hands slapped that way. But it'd certainly be nice for Charge America to follow that route.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the supercharger network itself is growing like a weed. They just finished up in your neck of the woods. What happened with that?
Correct. We just completed the Trans-Canada Highway. So now from British Columbia all the way to Halifax, Nova Scotia, there's now a supercharger route in play. And there's actually 2 people that are on the route right now about to complete it. They're heading into the maritime provinces now and should be complete, I would think, by tomorrow.
Wow.
So they'll be the first ones to run. You know, they're not obviously doing a cannonball run, but they are putting in a solid 14, 15 hours a day of driving. So they're doing it and doing media presentations along the way. But what was fantastic about this new line of superchargers, the furthest north in North America, is that they've added basically all version 3s along that route, or a good portion of them will be. The new ones were version 3, of course, giving us 250 kilowatt as opposed to the version 2s. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. Excellent.
And of course, like you said, that supercharger network just continues to grow in all sectors, whether it is Canada, the U.S., Europe, Asia, Australia, and even now Iceland, Puerto Rico.
Come on, there's 2 in Kazakhstan. Okay?
2 in Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan. Exactly. 2. Like one in the outskirts of Moscow. Like it's crazy. If you go to the Tesla website now, they have added the future 2020 pinned on the map that show you the new areas they're doing, and that road from Eastern Europe to Moscow will be complete. You will be able to drive from basically Great Britain to Moscow on a supercharger route.
That is phenomenal. And then whenever they, if they ever do that bridge they were talking about between Alaska and Russia, you could drive the whole world.
Yeah, exactly. So very interesting. The one continent now that needs to be conquered is Australia. They've got an east and west portion, and nothing along to connect it yet. Just large middle to the south needs to be connected. But kudos to Tesla for building this network and continuing to build it.
Definitely. And then next up was our Rivian R1S reservation gift unboxing. And that's not Tesla, is it? But
No.
It does fit in with our, like I said, driving the EV lifestyle. So, yes.
I was just reacting. You know?
Yeah.
Russell was concerned for a moment.
I was shocked.
Something's wrong with the guy. What's going on to the Rivian stuff?
Rivians. Yeah, get out of here. What are you, traitor?
Right? And so with that, we had we drove from Charleston, South Carolina, to Cape Cod, Massachusetts, to visit my grandmother's bed and breakfast. Stayed there the night, and we drove to Manhattan. Went to the Rivian launch. Went back to Cape Cod. A much longer drive than I anticipated. And then we came back to Charleston, all in one weekend. And so if you're going to the Palmer House Inn in Massachusetts, it's great. They've got 2 Tesla chargers and a generic, just a level 2 J1772. Lots of rooms. They'll take care of you. And so with that, we saw Mr. Farage. What do they call him? He goes by initials, right?
What did I do?
Mr. Farage goes by initials, right? J.
Mr.
Yes,
French?
yes.
Yeah. So anyway, he spoke and announced the Rivian truck and the Rivian SUV, and they're quite phenomenal. And then we got to talk to the engineers and sales reps and the service reps, and I monopolized the time of the battery engineer and the interior designer and the interior engineer, and we just learned so much stuff about the vehicles that are coming out, and then as you see the weeks go by, everything just matched up. It was incredible. And then Tesla came out with the Cybertruck, because I was actually looking at getting a Rivian myself, but the Cybertruck is so much cheaper. It's a lot less pretty.
Well, you've seen the Rivian up close. Have you sat in it?
They had a rope around it, so I was able to touch it but not sit in it.
Okay. So looking at the styling of the Rivian,
Yeah.
comparing that to what you've seen about the Cybertruck, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
The Rivian was very refined. It was like if Land Rover actually tried to make an EV. It was the same size as the Discovery. It had all the materials. They felt great, and the colors matched, and like if you talked into it, the way the materials echoed your voice, like it. That is a luxury car through and through. But at the same time, they said it's an adventure vehicle, and they want that to be molded to what your idea of adventure is. So if your idea is to get in the car, go to the top of a mountain and ski down, great. If you want to get in the car and then go to the edge of the river and go kayak, awesome. If you want to go up a dune and down a dune, please, no protected dunes. It'll do that. They even have, I don't know what they're going to call their autopilot system, but they have a system in place for it to do self-driving through the woods. It's insane. But whatever your idea of adventure is, they want that vehicle to support it. Later on, after we came back, we saw they had the camper top, like for overlanding, and then they had in the gear tunnel for the R1T, the pickup truck. They had a kitchenette that you can actually just pull out and cook some breakfast right there, and then shove it back in. That's pretty cool.
Love that.
Yeah.
We get a comment from the chat room. Hockey Day has let us know that we've got 2 marks on the screen and no Russell.
Yeah, because of the way that like the system is set up, it only lets me add people who were on there like right when I hit go. So, the 2 marks is actually the middle mark is actually active speaker, so that when Russell's speaking, we can actually see his beautiful face.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, nice. All right, just wanted to pass along that information.
Yes. It's not as though I'm going to say anything of value anyway. But I would agree with Mark's and your guys' observations about the Rivian. It is, and of course, we're looking at pre-production prototypes,
yes.
Right? So they could, not always are, but they could certainly be very finely crafted, nicely executed, beautiful luxury vehicles, and that's everything. The vibe that I got from sitting in the SUV to just kind of working the doors and whatnot on the truck. It feels solid. It feels so well engineered, and it has so many cool little flourishes. I'm very excited. I cannot wait to see a production.
Definitely.
Of that, a production version of that vehicle, of either one, because I hope the prototype bodes well for it.
And I hope it does. Like when we've gone to the auto shows in the past, usually the car at the show is like chewing gum and string, and then the actual car is just like better. And unless it was like they were trying to pull one over on you, which is rare, thankfully. And so if they do that, then this is going to be even more impressive than what we've seen so far. I mean, while I was there, they actually kicked us out to go look at the other prototype because I think Rihanna came by and they wanted to show her the vehicle.
Nice. Well, I want
that, yeah.
So a celebrity shows up and they kick everybody else out.
I don't think it was really them. I think it was the Rihanna's guards that did it.
That's even worse.
Yes. All right, everybody, move along. And they're wearing these suits that look official. Like, wait, that's not the real people. And so, since we were there on a friend's ticket, we got the ship gifts that they would have sent to everybody who went. Got a ship gift, so they wouldn't let me bring his gifts back. They're like, no, you have enough. You're good. And I'm like, no, but he's the one who paid for this car. No, you have enough. We got a water bottle, a tour guide map, and some pins. The Rivian logo, and then one of the R1T and one of the R1S. And they were very well crafted. And then amazingly, our 5th most popular video was the Tesla Smart Air suspension on the Model X. And this was before they went ahead and then changed the Smart Air suspension to what they call now the new Tesla adaptive suspension. But the Smart Air suspension, it had a good little bit of travel, as you can see in the screen capture there, and it's really nice because it remembers where you go. So if you have to raise it up to get over like a driveway or rugged terrain, the next time you come back to that place, the car will have already raised itself up. I need to see if that's a voice command we can give. And then when the Model X shipped, it had an issue with the front drive motor called shudder. And so our vehicle shipped, and the service center put it in always low. And we've got about... we've got some miles on the car. We've got our original tires still. They've worn evenly. They are just coming up on the time where you would actually have to change them. And we're sitting at 39,701 miles. We do a hypermiling trick where we've got the tires set to we've got them set to 51 psi. But what that does is it helps them have less flex, and with the less flex, they last longer. Which, as we've seen, it bears to show. With Russell, in the past, you did that with your Prius, right?
Overinflate?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be careful, and there are certainly a variety of opinions. It always seems as though there's a radical vanguard, a renegade band who want to grossly overinflate their tires.
Don't do that.
To achieve the maximum possible. Yeah, and you can go too far. It's sort of like hypermiling, and you could draft or not draft. Well, drafting's just generally not a super safe idea, but it does increase efficiency, doesn't it?
If you can get in the envelope, it does. So yeah. With that, when I say I overinflate, I go to what it says on the side of the tire, because then I'm still warranted by the tire manufacturer, although the vehicle manufacturer is not going to help you out at all at that point. They say, we said 20 pounds less than what you hold it at. But that cold pressure, they've obviously tested it there before they made the tire and stamped it on the side. With the Prius, I did go well over. I think I went, 20 over?
Oh my God, you're in the 50s?
I was in the 50s.
That's insane.
No, actually, I was at 60.
Ding, ding, ding. It sounds like glass when you touch it.
It did. I was at 60. On the Model X, I have it at 51 all around, because that's what the tire says.
Well, I mean, if it works, and I would never, of course, want anything bad to happen to you or anyone.
No.
But damn, yeah, no, I'm like a 2 or 3 pound guy.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, yeah. I'm not like 20 extra pounds of air in that now. But I get it, and it does work. And if it works for you, it works. I'm not, here to tell you they shouldn't do that.
I've run over some stuff with this car too. So last night there was just some debris on the road, like somebody, I don't know if they dropped a pallet or got into a crash or whatever, and I tried to avoid it, and I saved the video on the Tesla cam. Let me see if I can't show it on here, because it's my video.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then you can report yourself.
I'm not reporting myself.
I'll report him.
Yeah, you could be the reason your account is suspended. Yay! And we'll report him too. I like that, Mark. Thank you.
What do you mean? There was no foul language or anything.
No, we'll just create a faulty report. We're just pulling your leg.
Yeah. It's abusive, targeted harassment.
It was not, I was the victim.
Exactly. This guy picked on this guy. Look at it.
Let's see how far back I need to go. Sorry. It made a lot more sense in the Tesla Cam viewer. That's way too far back. Alright, so let me just do the Tesla Cam viewer because it works. This is a great piece of software. So you see how I've got all these different individual files from the Tesla Cam? It's a mess. You have to go through them one at a time, and Windows doesn't like them. But if you open the Tesla Cam viewer, and where's this?
Which is a third-party piece of software.
It is. And it's free. It's open source. So we go, but they do take donations, and I do recommend you click that button and give a donation. But they're not sponsoring the show in any way. We go to desktop, and we go to dash cam and Tesla Cam. And then we go to 22, that. And it automatically goes back to pretty much right where you would have actually clicked the button. So if it was a Sentry mode, it actually goes right to where what likely triggered the car to start recording. And if you hit the record button, it also goes back to right about what you were trying to record. So it's pretty spot on for this. I passed this low poke. And then right about here, I crossed this light. Pay attention to, as we cross into the next light, see all the debris up here? And then look down at the left repeater. Boom. And you can slow it down. Come on, slow it down. That's too slow. Reverse. I think it might be because of all of what I'm doing with the video on this computer right now. But there it is, right at the spot. Let's get the blinker on. Speed it up a little bit. Play. So now it's running at, oh wow, it went all the way back. It's running at what, half speed. You can see it change cameras. Well, like I said, I'm doing too much with the video right now, so I didn't like that.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. And so that was those are our top 5 videos.
Yay!
Yeah. And this was for Tony, but Tony had stuff come up, and so you can see.
He's just a lazy bastard.
So you can see most of our views actually come from non-subscribers. That's 93% of the people. Thankfully, 5.3% are from subscribers. I appreciate all of you. I did not think that we'd be at 402 in less than in a year. It's incredible. And I don't know what the 1.2% are. Is like maybe you're browsing with like privacy protection on or something and just can't tell what you are. And then it's a car channel, so they're sending us 95% male viewers, and thankfully we've got 5% female viewers. Some videos it's 50-50. Other videos there's like no females. I don't know what I'm doing wrong there. And lately, now that we've got some more volume coming in our videos, they actually are sending us some more age ranges. Typically it's these 3 large bars, but we've got some younger folks and some older folks now too.
Oh, yay, older folks.
No age discrimination. You guys are a protected class now. So, basically, if you age discriminate over 40, it's against the law, and they
What?
you. Under 40, you're fair game. I don't understand how it works, and I feel exposed.
So no old folks jokes. That's just it.
Exactly.
Cut out.
Thank you.
So, obviously, it being in the United States English language channel, that's where the bulk of our viewers come from. I was surprised to see that it was only 60%. United Kingdom makes sense. You guys can understand me. I talk a little quick. Canada, absolutely. I know that English is spoken all over the world, but it just amazed me that that these don't even add up to 10%, and yet there's that's phenomenal to know that you're worldwide, and so what I do.
with the media, right? You can be anywhere and pick up the feed. You don't have to be in North America. You could be anywhere, and that's the amazing thing about YouTube.
Absolutely. Yep, Charlie. It's the channel's birthday. That's what we're here. And so one thing I've done to help out, since I've seen, I know that I do speak quickly and I kind of mumble a little bit, but to help with that, what I do now is I try to, within a day or two of the videos going up, go back and make sure that the captions that Google has ascribed to my speech make sense. For our Carney supercharger video, it had me cussing up a storm. I did, but not in the video. And so I corrected that to what the video actually said, and it is now more accessible. It's not going to steer, not that children even care about superchargers, but it's not going to steer them away from the video because it thinks that I was saying naughty words. But also, if you don't speak English as your primary language, you can see it at the bottom in English, and it will help out with the comprehension. And it also has a feature where they auto-translate. So once they know exactly what I've said, they can change it into your native language if it's one of the ones that YouTube supports. And I found that to be pretty cool. It's worth the effort. It takes about anywhere from 2 to 3 times the length of the video before I'm able to get them all up there.
There you go.
Yeah. And so I left a slide for stories from the panel. And if y'all wanted to, feel welcome.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was blinking SOS to anybody out there.
So I met Mark on here, and I met Russell at on here and on the channel, and I met Russell in the Green Drive Expo 2007, 2008,
2009.
2009. No,
That was the only Green Drive I went to.
that you went to. Okay, so that's where I met you at in person at 2009.
Yeah.
But I went to two of them. I think both times I had my Honda Civic Hybrid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was quite a
You'd
trip.
already gotten rid of the Prius by then?
No,
Or
you're
was
right.
that
You're right. The
before
first
the
time I did
Prius?
have the Prius, and then the
Okay.
second time I had the Civic Hybrid. Wow. Time flies.
Yeah. Hey, tell an old person that. Whatever, jerks.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah, you kids get off my lawn. Damn it.
Oh,
You and your hybrid fancy cars.
yes.
Go hug a
just
tree.
taking a candle. Thank you.
Well, that's something interesting, Casey. Tell us a little bit about your progression through the world of fuel-saving cars. What have you owned, and how long have you owned them?
Okay.
Tell them about the car solo Baron. Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't have one of those. So
That wasn't you, was it?
That was not me. The car, Tachikoma, is her official name is 11, and the reason is I've had 11 cars. So my very first car was a '92 Lincoln Continental ES.
Nice.
Yeah, it burned gas like a son of a gun.
Yeah.
And if I filled the tank to full, it would break down. Every time I filled it to full, it would break. So I stopped doing that. I started going half tanks, and
Then you can only go 30 miles.
more than 30 miles. 'Cause at that point, I was a hyper miler, really enthusiastic, and I was a kid in high school, and I had to, or just out of high school, I had to make sure that the fuel bill didn't get out of control, because I also had to eat. I traded that in for a 2003 Honda Civic LX, and my best tank in that was 78 miles per gallon, going from Gainesville, Florida to Fort Lauderdale. And traded that for the '04 Prius. Got that one used as well. So all my cars up to this point have been used. And that Prius, man, I loved it. It was great for around town and that Florida driving. It did not do so well in Columbia, South Carolina when I moved it up. I don't know if it was the terrain or what. It still did great. I was getting 60 to 70 mpg, but I was pushing 90 in Florida, and it felt like a big change. So
You're obviously adapted to that flat Florida driving.
Yeah.
I thrived in the hills of Pennsylvania, but I was never I was like a 65 mpg guy.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not like 70. That's you and Tony and
Right?
the rest of you hypermilers.
So then I traded
Maybe it's Mark. I don't know.
It might be. So I traded it for a 09 Civic Hybrid. That was my first new car. And that one allowed me to continue getting 70s and 80s all around town in Columbia. So I think what it was is I had to do a lot more highway driving because I lived in one town and worked in Columbia. And the only real way to get there in a timely fashion was on the freeway. And at the time, Honda's system was more adapted for that high-speed driving because it was an assist versus the Toyota Synergy drive, which kind of thrived at those lower speeds. Not that the Honda didn't do great at low speeds, but it had some tricks up its sleeve. And then I ordered a 2012 Civic Hybrid, the third generation, and it took forever to arrive. And then it didn't show up at all. Turns out it fell off the boat.
Literally?
Literally fell off the boat, and nobody bothered to tell me. And
Nice.
yeah, so I went ahead and in the meantime, while I was waiting on the car to show up, I'd already sold my Civic Hybrid, the 2009, to a nice couple in Columbia, and I needed something to drive, so I bought a '95 Nissan pickup, a little red truck with a 5-speed transmission, air conditioning, and power mirrors with crank windows. And I spun it out a couple of times too. I don't really know what miles I was getting, and I had a $4 repair when the car put me out. The tensioner for the serpentine belt popped off, so it was a $4 part plus a case of beer for the mechanic. It was awesome. So then, once I found out that my car had fell off the boat and the manager didn't tell me that, hey, we got word that your car's not coming, I got upset, and I ordered another Honda Civic Hybrid from another dealership. I was working at the car dealership at the time. So there it is on my birthday, and they've got a transport driver. He drives up in this white Civic Hybrid, because I'd ordered a blue on blue, just like my previous one was blue on blue. So I ordered white on blue because I'd grown to love those blue leather seats. I don't know why. They came up, and I was selling a car at the time. At the same time I was selling the car, I was signing the paperwork for my own car. My manager didn't speak to me for a month and a half. He was pissed. And so then shortly after that, that was a lease, because the way I like to swap cars out, lease just makes sense. And I moved to a Chevy store, and I had my first taste of the Nissan Leaf and the Chevy Volt. And the Nissan Leaf just wouldn't make my commute, because on a nice warm day, I was using all of the capacity, 100%. And this was before they had the Lizard battery. So I would have been in deep stuff had I actually bought the Leaf instead. And so I made it in with like half a mile to go without using the heater or anything. It was in the fall, so I could have used the heater. It would have been nice. And then it charged all night, and I made it back. Again, just the very edge of the charge. It was very well appointed on the inside. I still can't give her the bug eyes on the front of the old Leaf, personally. And so I bought the Volt instead. And that one, same thing, I used the full charge. But, okay, I take that back, actually. The full charge for the Leaf was with the 120 charge at night in the middle. The Volt was one charge each way, and I had to charge it to full on each side before I could make it without gas. And that car ended up being kind of a partial lemon. It shot the transmission to pieces. There were BBs just all over the inside of motor generator A, the big one. Turns out that that was a known repair, and they came up with a procedure for it after they had given me a sweet deal to get out of that car. So I bought another Chevy Volt. This one was a 13, and instead of the bearing race being made of nylon, it was made of brass, so it couldn't just shatter. It would have to stretch and bend and be abused to do that again. My Volt had the battery drop, the original one, and it had the stiffening campaign done. Like, the pictures came across my memories. It was pretty fun. The 13, I kept that way longer. We just got rid of it when we right before we got the Model X, and after I stopped working at the Chevy store, a used Model S showed up in 2017. It was a 2016 Model S 90D, and we bought that car. I loved it. And man, I miss that car. But it hurt my leg to drive it, because the way that your seating position is, your legs are kind of straight out, and my left leg, it would cramp up. So, and my wife had wanted the Model X from the beginning anyway, because that was one of the first vehicles that Tesla let us do a extended test drive. They said, here, just take this car, take it home, come back tomorrow. And it was actually a holiday and a weekend, so we actually had it for 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So we brought it back, and it's really nice. We'll find a way to make it happen. And then we didn't. We found the used Model S, and we bought it from a Ford store. And then February 28th, 2018, at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we were coming home from running errands. We got a new plate for the Model S, because I was actually using it to run Uber. We got paid our taxes, and we had just got our homestead exemption on our house, so we didn't have to pay too much taxes on that. And we were halfway home, and we passed a truck, and then coming up behind us, the truck moves over to the center lane behind us, and it hits us 3 times. Bam, bam, bam. And
Damn.
yeah, and
That was it for the S.
no, actually, the truck, his radiator was leaking, and the Model S, it looked like somebody had scuffed the bumper, but it actually had a hole in the bumper, and the tailgate was dented to all get out. I do have video of that, but we are currently actively litigating this, so that's all I've got for that story. I will come back to that later. Suffice it to say that I wanted my diminished value, and they didn't think that I deserved that on my brand new car. And then they thought they would play chicken with me, and so we sued them. And like I said, we'll get to the rest of that later. But it's a cool story, and I want to tell you right now. But so while the car,
so tell us. Go ahead.
I cannot.
No,
It's
okay.
under active
You
litigation.
don't want to get him in trouble.
Everybody will know. It'll just be
We're only
between
live
us.
on the internet.
What? You didn't tell me anything about that.
So the Model S was in the shop for about 2 business weeks, so almost a month if real time. And we were in the insurance company in the body shop gave us a really nice BMW convertible, 2018. So I think it was a 5-something-i with convertible top, and all I did was complain about this car for the entire time, and all my coworkers thought I was just this spoiled brat. And I was like, look, I know this sounds terrible, but as you're driving the BMW, if you put the cruise control on, it tries to run stuff over. My Model S was a autopilot 1, so it could follow lanes, and it would not run stuff over. And if you turned on the blinker, it would change lanes safely. Assuming that you checked to make sure there were no fast oncoming vehicles, because it had one camera. And and so the whole time with this
But
BMW...
you only have one set of eyes, so...
Right.
Okay.
So I used them and made sure that nothing was coming up in the car. And so the whole time I'm complaining about the car, and everybody's like, "Oh, be glad when your car comes back, so we can stop hearing how terrible this luxury car is to you." And on the last day, I finally put the top down. It was a nice day, and I complained about that because it's South Carolina, so you just got humidity and just the sun is just bearing down on me. And I turned it in. I kept my gas receipts. The guy didn't want to pay me for gas. I'm like, my car doesn't use gas. Yours does. I have solar panels on the house. It costs me nothing to do road trips. It costs me nothing to do, fueling at home. I can't make gasoline in my garage. And the guy argued with me.
No, you could. You're just not man enough. Okay, let's be clear about that. Okay?
It's not worth the insurance claim on that one. Your house blew up. Tell us what happened.
Why?
Yeah, exactly.
I
So,
make gasoline in my garage.
So the guy talked to his manager, and the manager agreed with my argument. And he's like, yeah. And the Model S had charging for life, unlimited charging at the superchargers. So we didn't have to worry about fuel. And so I saved up all the receipts, gave them to him, and they paid us back, got our car back. And later on, we saw a factory Model X that it was a white P100D that had all kinds of specials and sales on it because it was a quarter end. And you may have noticed in the videos that I don't drive a white Model X. I drive a black Model X. The bank that we were with at the time for the Model S said that we were risky, even though we had, they were with us and we had never missed a payment, anything, and everything was exactly the way it should have been. They didn't want to touch it, so by the time they answered us, that cream puff deal was gone. So then we get an email from Tesla saying, "Hey, if you want to upgrade, now's the time. You're going to have premium internet for life goes away at the end of June. Free charging for life goes away at the end of July." So we went ahead and configured, and they're like, "Hey, do you need a bank?" And I said, "Yeah, we need a bank." And I had found one already, and they were going to do us well, but Tesla's bank gave us you know how they do 0%, 3%, 2%, whatever. We got a primo deal, and we ordered the car, and then it took 3 months to put it together and ship it, and it was time to pick it up, and it was they were going to bring it to us, and then Hurricane Florence hit. So our Model X went on a tour by rail of the Southeast, just driving in circles so they didn't drop it off in the hurricane. I was like, "Just offload it in Alabama, we'll go meet you, and we'll be fine." They didn't want to do that. So after Hurricane Florence had gone through, we drove up to Charlotte because they told us that if we waited for the home delivery that they promised us, because the hurricane had messed up their schedule, it'd be another month before we get the car, and that there was no guarantee they wouldn't sell it while it was sitting on the lot. I was like, what? It'd be a shame if something happened to your car, huh? So I took my wife, and actually, I say that it's not that simple. We had already sold the Model S based on the timing, and so I called up everybody I could get a hold of at Tesla. The Nevada crew, who subsequently 90% of their office was fired. They were terrible. And they didn't answer the phone. They were ducking and weaving, kept promises, days that never happened. And so finally I just called the service manager, and he is awesome. Awesome guy. And he rented us a car from the airport in my town, in Charleston. And we were able to drive that around for a day while he waited for my car to get off the train. And then they washed it, got it ready to go, and then we were able to drive that to Tesla and drop it off and pick up our car and come home. So I said we sold the Model S, right? Yeah. Sold it to the dealership that we bought it from for just a $10,000 loss, with the 40,000 extra miles that we put on it and the collision. It could have been so much worse. I say 10,000, it might have been 20,000, but the lack of depreciation on that car with the miles, with the crash, it was just incredible. And because they said, oh, your car's been in a crash, we can't give you as much. And we went to CarMax and a couple others, and the locals, they didn't want to touch it except the one that we bought it from. CarMax was, yeah, we'll do it, but here's our limit for cars. And it wasn't the $100,000 limit that they have, but it was nasty. And so we went back to the store we bought it from, and they said, yeah, we actually were going to give this to one of the executives' wives, and then you bought it before we could stop it. And she's still interested, so we'll take it back. And so that's how we ended up carless and needed the rental from Tesla. And then we drove that car home and got it wrapped and everything, and the next thing you know, we're at that #1 video of racing it down the drag strip.
There you go.
Yeah.
We've come full circle.
Full circle. What do you know? And then, got any questions from the audience? I see there's a bunch of you in there, and I really appreciate you taking the time to come listen to us. So we saw the question about the 2 marks and no Russell, but we fixed that. Hockey Day said he needed shots. I'm guessing because of Russell.
What did I say?
It's Russell, you know. And then thank you, Charlie.
Hockey just wants to do shots.
Right? Nothing wrong with that. And then
there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing with that. And thank you, Charlie, for the well wishes for the anniversary and birthday of the channel. And he gave us a bunch of different cakes, and an ice cream cone, and a balloon. He gave us a little party in the chat.
Party in the chat.
Whoa. I'm sorry, there's ice cream somewhere?
Yep.
Emoticon,
yeah, of course it's electronic ice cream, so it doesn't taste the same. Yeah. So it's not like it's a Peterson donut or anything.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that. Now I got to go there. Hey, it's been great. Love you. Don't change.
So with the Model X, it's been quite a journey. We've documented almost all of it on video. Like as they come up with all the different upgrades. At first, we weren't doing the update videos unless they were like super major, because I felt that there was just a lot of YouTubers out there. But I find that our angle is different than a lot of them out there, and when you see the numbers, it's like, wow, these people really enjoy calorie-free, Lucky Day says. They really enjoy our take on, like, because I go through and I try to show them all the features I can. Sometimes the car just doesn't participate, like with the stop sign and stoplight running. I did the best I could on private property to make it beep at me, and I couldn't do that. But I try to show everything, and I go into it kind of technically, and we go through here's what it is, and the numbers are showing it. So I hope that people still really do enjoy it. Write me back in the comments anytime that you see something you have a question on, or hey, how have you thought about doing it this way? We love it, and we do it for you guys. So I had been skipping a lot of the updates, and then found out that people actually enjoy it right now, and so we go through and we do them now. The other thing we did was just like, you notice a lot of our videos are how-tos and answers to questions. Like somebody had asked us, what happens if you try to drive with the doors open? So we showed them, and the car hates it. It's like, what are you doing? And with the Chatamo, was our number 3 video, how to use your Chatamo adapter. And we just try to make ourselves useful to everybody who's out there.
So keep those questions coming, and they may lead to another video or a segment that could be helpful to others.
They sure could. Yeah, because like you had the guys who did it for the prizes, and that was never us. I mean, we did get a Tesla Elon Musk signed wall adapter, but it was never about the prizes. The prizes are nice, but just like it's not about the 40% of a penny that we got over the last year. It's all about the love of the EV lifestyle, and so we wanted to make sure that everybody else could enjoy it as well. And so I want to thank you guys for a wonderful year and for joining us on this live stream. And like I said, we want to make the most of your EV lifestyle with tips and hints, reviews, road trips, superchargers, interviews, and more in the next coming year.
And before you guys finish tonight, make sure that if you haven't already, click that subscribe button. Give Kacey Green's channel another viewer. Give us a thumbs up. That helps us get in the eyes of new viewers as well and through the algorithm. And we would really appreciate your support in that way. Costs you nothing and helps us out.
Yeah, and then, Hockey Day was a great day for the stock. And I'm guessing that the Model Y will probably ship in low numbers right around the end of the quarter, so March, April. And I think it'll be shipping at the Model 3 in China rate, 1,000, 2,000 a week by June. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I think it's mid-year that the Model Y will start to come out. I think it's going to ramp a lot faster than what the 3 did because I think they're set with what they've got to do, and with the car taking 70% of the same parts, I think that's going to be helpful for them and the line. I think the numbers you've quoted could very possibly be true. So we look forward to the ramp, and hopefully it will be. It was supposed to be the end of the year, so they moved it up. We think mid-year would be nice to get some of those cars and some of that ramp built up before the end of 2020. So I don't have an order in waiting for one, but man, if you do, keep your eyes open because we think that those cars are going to start to be released pretty quickly.
Certainly. And if you haven't already, hit the thumbs up on this video. Speaking there is Mark Coughlan. He has a stream that you'll find us all on weekly on Wednesdays at 7, 8. And what that one is, it's called The Tesla Life. The Tesla Life Show. You catch him on Twitter. If you're on, catch my Twitter at GCustom. Catch Mark's Twitter at The Tesla Life. We're both on there constantly putting stuff up there. And then Russell, you heard, his show is the What Drives Us show. And also on Wednesdays. That one's a little later, about an hour after the Tesla Life show. And it's all about the green lifestyle. Come on, Mike.
Lifestyle. Like, we're not talking about Birkenstocks.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, it's about what drives us.
Like where the best kale comes from. But yeah, advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy.
Yeah.
And thank you for mentioning it, Kacey.
That was a pleasure. And he doesn't tweet. Well, actually, he does tweet, but not on topic. So if you want, you can go follow Russell. If not, then you don't have to.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter. You'll enjoy it.
It will be a roller coaster ride. If you thought Elon's Twitter was fun.
Believe me.
And Hockey Dave sent us a note, question. Do you think they will use the new wiring harness? And will the Model 3 get it as well?
I don't think the Model 3 will get it first. I think they might go back and put it back on there just so they have one process. But probably Model Y and Gigafactory 5 4.
Do you think they'll introduce that one step wiring harness?
Yes.
In the Model Y.
In the Model Y. I don't think that they're going to do the no 12 volt, but I do think they're going to do the two loops instead of the mess that we have now of a wiring harness.
Okay. I thought that they would follow what they did in the Model 3 just because it's simpler, it's easier, they've done it. So my guess is they'll stick with the old harness. But
save a lot of copper.
There's savings to be had. Yeah. But if they want to get this car out on time and now even ahead of time, I'm thinking they're going to choose the old and true method that they know works. But I could be wrong.
We know it will work if they do it that way. The only thing they really
there's always sometimes there can be bugs, right? There can be issues.
Yeah.
You put out something brand new, and it's like, okay, we got to deal with things. If they don't operate the way we think, or the longevity, there could be issues. But hopefully, if they do put it out, there's none. I'm not wishing it out on them, but I don't know. Just I guess we'll have to see if it happens or not.
And we're talking 70% parts commonality with the Model 3. So
allegedly.
Pretty much the only real difference, other than the extra row of seats potentially at the later on runs, is it sits a little higher. It's got a different front bumper, and it's got a power tailgate instead of a hatchback, instead of a trunk. So it's a hatchback.
Yeah.
So
and it's a power hatchback, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And this one looks like they include the towing out of the box, like they do on Model X. If you want your Model 3 to tow in Europe, you have to order it with the car, because you can't add that after the fact legally. And have we seen? I don't think we've seen official towing from Tesla in the U.S. yet, have we?
We have not. Not official. There's plenty of unofficial, but no official.
But what's weird about that is, like, even the very first batches, like when somebody took the car apart, it's got the wiring and everything ready to go for the trailer. It just isn't equipped.
Yep.
Yeah. All
right.
So any final words from Mark or Russell before we go?
Just wanted to thank the viewers for sticking with us through the first year, and looking forward to Kacey developing some more videos for the coming year. So that will be great to review on the second anniversary.
Thank you. Go ahead.
No. Yes, what he said. That's enough.
Either in the chat, or if you're watching this after the fact on the instant replay, in the comments, please let us know if you like the idea of a live stream and what you want to see in a live stream. I probably want to do one of these every year, and I don't know that I will always be able to secure extra people for a live stream. I'm not going to commit these guys without asking them. I'm not going to do it on air. Like, hey, I'm proposing. Do you guys accept?
We're switching to live stream 3 times a week.
Oh,
Monday,
no.
Wednesday, Fridays.
I can't even do that.
And Monday starts at 7:30 a.m.
There you go. Yes, yes, indeed.
Right when you should be working. So I do plan to pull up streams every now and again, as like we saw last year this time with the Supercharger version 3 launch. Anything that I think might be interesting to just kind of share live as it happens. But if there's something you guys want to see live, let me know, and I'll kind of try and dial it in and make it useful. And otherwise, like I said, just look for the videos, ask me questions, and I'll make videos on them. That's exactly how we got the what happens if your Falcon Wing doors are open and you drive. Somebody had the door open, they smashed into the garage, and I was like, how did they do that? It makes so much noise. And a couple people said, what noise are you talking about? And I showed them, and it was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's music?
I don't really have music. I've got the 2 stingers. I've got the sad sounding one and the happy one. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you.